Members, if you would, make sure you're logged in for the roll. I'd like to call this meeting of the Department Agency Subcommittee to order. Today is Tuesday, March the 18th, and we'd like to welcome everybody out here today. And if everyone is logged in, if the clerk would, please take the roll. Okay, we'll give Representative Martin a minute.
I'll just need a half a minute.
Okay. All right. Mr. Clerk, take the roll.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 members present. You have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. First off, is there any personal orders among the members? Seeing none, we're going to do a little housekeeping first thing, and then I'm going to pass the gavel off to Chairman Crawford and run up the hallway for a second. If you would, on the calendars, number 3, House Bill 1202 is off notice. Number 5, House Bill 1048 is also off notice. House Bill 715, number 15 on the calendar is off notice. And number 21, House Bill 642 is also off notice. So members, at this time, I'm going to hand the gavel over to Chairman Crawford.
Jump around a little bit to get the people in and out to present bills. So we're going to start with item 13, House Bill 10 by Representative Warner.
Motion.
Got a proper motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Properly seconded. I do see that we have an amendment on this bill. Can you please give us your drafting code?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee 004456 rewrites the bill.
That
Mr.
is
Chairman.
correct. That's the proper amendment number. Do we have a motion on the amendment? Proper motion. Is there a second? Properly motion and second. Would you like for us to place the amendment on the bill since it makes the bill to be discussed?
Absolutely, sir.
Without objection, all those in favor of placing House Amendment 4456 onto House Bill 10, please recognized on your amended bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. House Bill 10 enacts the Tennessee Legal Immigration Act, which requires law enforcement agencies in custody of an individual known to be unlawfully present in the United States to request an immigration detainer from the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, better known as ICE Division, within the United States Department of Homeland Security. Requires an LEA that receives a detainer as requested to maintain custody of the individual for the maximum period of time specified in the detainer or until the individual is taken into custody by ICE, whichever occurs first. Also requires an LEA that does not receive a detainer by the specified time or before the LEA is required to release the individual from custody to instead release the individual into the Department of Safety. Requires each LEA to submit a monthly reports to the Department of Safety regarding the number of arrests made of individuals known to be unlawfully present in the United States. Requires the beginning requires beginning January 1st, 2026 of each January 1st thereafter, the Department of Safety to report an aggregate annual number of such arrests to the governor and the members of the General Assembly. With that, Chairman and committee, I renew my motion and I stand for questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions for the sponsor on the bill? See, Representative Powers, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The question I have, I know that some law enforcement agencies already have what do they call it? It's a federal 1084 or something. 287G. Okay, I know we have somebody new. And so how does that differ? You know, the 287G, and that's the reporting to ICE and everything. Do you know if
I
is
don't
that
know.
different from
This
this
bill
one, or-
don't pertain to that. I'd be glad to go out of session here and legal help me write the bill and let him explain how that would interact with this
Yeah.
bill.
Could we do that, please?
Without objection, we'll go out of session to hear from legal. Legal, you're recognized.
Thank you, Matt Mundy from Legal. The 287G program is just a federal program that authorizes local law enforcement agencies to enter into memorandums of understanding for purposes of detaining unlawful persons who are here unlawfully.
Any questions for legal? Representative Martin.
Isn't it true during the special session that we adopted legislation in this space regarding the 287G?
Legal.
Matt Mundy from Legal. Yes, that's correct, but this bill does not conflict with that. That bill was to set up essentially the Central Immigration Enforcement Office and the Chief Immigration Enforcement Officer, as well as a grant program to encourage local law enforcement agencies to enter into those MOUs under the 287G program.
Representative Martin.
How does this bill enhance that opportunity with regard to illegal immigration?
Legal.
I suppose you could say that there's a reporting requirement here that's statewide that would be reported to the Department of Safety in terms of the number of encounters that law enforcement officers have in the state, as well as a mandatory detention period under an ICE detainer, which the maximum of right now is 48 hours. At that point, they would be released to an agent or officer of the Department of Safety. And the bill does not specify what Department of Safety has to do with the person once they're released to them.
Thank you.
Do you have a question for legal?
No, sir. I would like to respond to Representative Martin's question, please.
Okay, just wait till we go back in session. Representative Chisholm.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't know if this question is for legal or the sponsor, but who takes on the financial burden of the transport?
Legal.
Matt Mundy for the record. The transportation requirements in the original bill have been removed by the amendment.
All right, is there any more questions for legal before we go back in session? We are now back in session. Representative Warner, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Representative Martin, to your question, back in special session, I was fortunate enough to be on the committee that heard the immigration bill. And I asked the Department of Safety during that time if she could get me the numbers of illegals that this Department of Safety in the state has removed out of the state. I received an email from her dated Wednesday, January 29th, 2025 at 2:14 from Ms. Stroker that says, good afternoon. I followed up with our team and we do not track the information that you have requested in committee today. Just right after that, Ms. Stroker tries to recall her email. Unfortunately, get it open before she's able to recall it back. So the problem we got here, folks, in this state is we need to start standing behind our President Trump and do something about illegal immigration. This bill seeks to remedy a problem that we have in this state, and it's a simple bill, and it fixes a problem. We're in the process of uneducating some children in this state that are here illegally. If we're going to uneducate the children, why don't we take them back home?
Any questions? You have a response, Representative Martin? Okay. All right. Representative Chisholm, you're recognized. Oh, you're recognized, Representative Martin.
I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. You know, I think there's many times when we have pushed send on an email that we're like, whoops, I could maybe make that a little bit better. And so,
Okay.
you know, did you get an email that had the information? That's what's more important than that you got a recall, is were you able to get information?
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, gentlemen. I am not going to allow running debate. If yeah, you let me finish talking. I'm not going to allow the running debate, but as long as you're asking questions and answering questions, we will move forward. But no running debate. You're recognized, Representative Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Representative Martin, for the question. I absolutely did not receive another email. The point I'm trying to make to you, sir, is the Department of Safety does not keep up with how many illegals that we are removing from this state. And it's obviously they don't want to keep up with it. The question to you, members, and I ask for your support on this bill is, are we going to stand with our President Donald J. Trump and take care of this problem in Tennessee, or are we going to turn our back on it? That's the question before you today.
Okay, I'm the committee asked the questions, not the sponsor. So anyway, does anybody else have any questions for the sponsor? Representative Chisholm.
Okay, so does this bill apply to any illegal immigrant, both northern and southern border, or just the southern border?
Representative Warner.
It would apply to anybody that's crossing this country illegally, and that would be coming from any border.
Representative Chisholm.
So, to one of our other colleagues' point, during special session, didn't we already address this to the point where, you know, this bill is not needed?
Representative Warner.
Absolutely not. As legal described to you earlier, no, we did not address it.
All right. Follow up. Okay, gentlemen and ladies, we do have speakers that's been asked to, that have filled the cards out that wants to speak to the committee. So if it's no objection, we'll go out of session to hear from our speakers. Out of session. First person I have on the list is Ben Voites with Department of Safety. Please give us your name, who you're with, and you'll have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Committee. Ben Voitis, Legislative Liaison with the Department of Safety. I have with me Deputy Commissioner Greg Mays with Homeland Security. The department is opposed to this bill, specifically with Section 2 of the bill. The department does not have a way to house these individuals if they were to transfer to the department. I believe Representative Martin, you alluded to the bill that was passed in special session that would require us to work with the federal government and the 287G program. That is true. And we are working on getting that set up once it becomes effective in July. But I do want to pass the microphone to Deputy Commissioner Mays to kind of get into why this specific bill would not work for the department.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, for being with us today. If you'll please give us your name and who you're with, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name's Greg Mays. I'm the Deputy Commissioner for Tennessee's Office of Homeland Security. And as Mr. Voitis says, the biggest problem here is that when an ICE detainer expires for whatever reason, or the federal authorities do not come to the jail to pick up the illegal immigrant, the fact that it would be turned over to the Department of Safety essentially means they'd be turned over probably to a trooper or a Homeland Security agent who has no legal authority to detain them. And if we did have legal authority, no jail to put them in. We don't have jails. And so what do we do with that person? So for that reason, we don't support this bill. And then I would say another word about the reporting requirements. The special session passed legislation about immigration that encourages the 287G program, but also puts significant reporting requirements on law enforcement agencies to report to safety. So we will be getting some of that information that we don't have right now that came through the special session. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for the deputy speaker? Mr. Voites, you're recognized.
I did want to add on to, I'm sorry. I did want to add on to what Deputy Commissioner Mays said that about the reporting that currently is happening. Last year, the General Assembly passed a bill that requires the sheriff's report illegal immigration to the DA's conference. So that is currently happening. There are reports that go out, I believe quarterly or a certain period of time that go out currently.
Any questions for the speakers? Representative Martin.
Just to make sure I'm clear, this bill is asking for there to be a report through the Homeland Security. And what you're telling this committee is that the sheriffs are already being required through that legislation that we passed to report about the illegal aliens that are here.
Mr. Voites.
That's correct.
Follow up.
So if we were to pass this bill, would this be like double reporting then to when you've got an illegal alien that's in our state, the sheriff of whatever county has to report that to ICE. And what this would do, this bill would be one that would say, well, it's also going to be reported through Homeland Security. But what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say, I don't know if it's what you're saying, it's what I'm hearing you say. I'm married too. And is that it may be that if they're in the jail, in the county jail, the sheriff has them and they've called ICE and they've reported that. But if this goes to Homeland Security, y'all don't have a place to house them. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Mr. Voites.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. A question for safety?
Yes.
I'll get to you. I've got other people on the list before you. So Representative Burkhart.
Thank you, Chairman. So earlier, y'all were in the room when the representative said something about an email with asking how many people and all that stuff. Is that something you are, as of July 1st or whenever this takes effect, that you will be tracking? Am I hearing that also?
Mr. Voites.
I'd have to check on that. I do know that currently the federal government tracks the illegal immigration. I believe that's what the email was referring to, is that authority is currently with the federal government and not with the state.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. I guess Representative Warner, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to the gentleman here representing our administration and our governor. What do we do when you have a prisoner now? If the Tennessee Department of Safety trooper stops an individual on the highway and it has 10 pounds of meth or fentanyl that's about to kill our citizens here in this state by overdose, what do you do with that guy?
Mr. Voites or Deputy Commissioner?
Hi, Deputy Commissioner Greg Mays. Thanks for the question. So when any person is encountered by a law enforcement officer, including the Department of Safety, and there's probable cause that a crime has been committed, they can make an arrest for the meth, for whatever that crime is, and then that person is taken to a jail. Usually, if it's a trooper or a Homeland Security agent that makes that arrest, they'll take them to the jail in the county where the arrest took place typically is what happens.
Representative Martin?
Representative Warner.
Oh, I thought your light's on. I thought you was. Representative Warner?
Thank you. So right now, the Department of Safety and Homeland Security is working with our counties and cities to house these. So what would be wrong with the Department of Safety till we can move them out of the state, or till ICE could come get them, paying the counties and cities like you're currently doing now when we have an illegal immigrant or whatnot?
Deputy Commissioner Mays?
So we seem to be going in a circle. So the person has committed a crime and goes to jail. The sheriff files an ICE detainer. ICE does not come to pick the person up. So we let them out of jail, hand them over to someone from safety who says, please put them back in jail. And we just go round and round.
All right. This is your bill. You've got speakers lined up to speak. We need to hear from them. And then when we go back in session, you can ask your question.
I have nobody here lined up to speak, sir.
Okay.
My question
Go-
is for these gentlemen right here.
All right. Go ahead, Representative Warner. You're recognized.
So, sir, it would be in your opinion, after the ICE detainer runs out, and the department's opinion, that we just turn these individuals back to the street. Is that correct?
Mr. Voites?
No, sir. No, Chairman. The answer to the question is no. We would, like Deputy Commissioner Mays said, under this bill, we would, a local sheriff would make an arrest, house them in their jail. They would transfer them to our custody, and then we would say, put them back in jail. It would be redundant.
Okay. All right. The next speaker we have on our list is, excuse me if I butcher this, but Jose Padariza. Is there a Jose Padariza here? All right. All right. We will go back in session. And Representative Warner, you're recognized on your bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All this bill does, members, is seek to make Tennessee a safer place. It seeks to make sure that these individuals, once they've been apprehended and ICE refuses to come pick them up, that we keep them detained till we can get them removed. It seeks to make Tennessee and the United States a safer place. That's what this bill's intent, and I urge your support for it. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for the sponsor? You've heard the explanation from the sponsor. Give me 1 second to clarify something. That was the 2 people I had on the list. So if there's a Jose here, come on up, sir. Just come to the table. When you see the red light come on, please give us your name and who you're with, and you'll have 3 minutes. Without objection, we're going to go out of session to hear from our next speaker. Out of session.
Okay. When this is right here?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're good.
Nice. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Luis Pedraza. I am a member of the community. I come from Unionville and Shelbyville, Tennessee. I'm a son of Middle Tennessee. I've grown up here all my life. And I'm here today to talk about how I strongly oppose HB 10. This bill, if passed, will create cruel and unusual punishment on individuals who may very well be residents or citizens, but have mistakenly been flagged by a flawed ICE system. Now, this could open up local police departments to lawsuits. Consequently, I and other taxpayers will have our taxes spent on legal battles that could have been avoided altogether. We know the ICE system is flawed. We know people who are citizens get detained. We know people who are permanent residents get detained. And we know that it becomes a mess for many places across the country later on. And the people who bear the brunt of these lawsuits are your local police departments. And a lot of them do not have state funding to fight these, so they have to spend local taxpayer dollars on situations, again, that could have been avoided in the first place. It's simple. Someone who is detained by the police but has paid their bond on time and has seen their ICE detainer hold expire must be let go. Otherwise, their rights have been violated. However, leaving police to determine whether someone truly is undocumented is a gamble that can make those officers and departments liable for discrimination and legal troubles. Language barriers and someone simply not having a license for various reasons can lead to mistakes, and local police have to determine who gets swept away to another city and potentially across state lines, which is a good way to catch a lawsuit. Listen, different states have different laws, obviously. And a police officer who transports someone to another state, like Georgia or Kentucky, where the city or that state may not consider the person in police custody to be lawfully in custody because their bond has been paid, there are no charges and or no deportation process is taking place. This presents potential questions around kidnapping or trafficking that those officers may have to face. This is a liability. Look, I know many of the wealthy legislators here in the office, here in the Capitol, may not have to worry about a few $100s being spent on one single individual be taken across state lines and wasting the hours of police officers' resources and time. But a few $100s could really make a difference in my community, especially in Unionville and Shelbyville. And I would much rather see my taxpayer money go to something like school lunches in Clarksville, school lunches in Chattanooga and Hamilton County, or maybe the money being spent on small business development in Morristown, which has a booming economy of many immigrants and Latinos. Or maybe it goes money to disaster recovery funds in Clarksville, which I have seen firsthand the damage that happens over there. And that a few $100s can make in someone's life when their home's been damaged, instead of that money going to cops having to settle lawsuits because they possibly kidnapped or trafficked an immigrant. Look, there's a lot of ways that you can handle the situation, and I think this is a very poor way of doing so. We have money that could be spent on something more productive and better for our community, instead of using this money just for spiteful acts against immigrants, against people who look like me. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today. I do have another speaker on the list we have found, and I apologize if I mess your last name up, but Ashley Warbington. I apologize for that. I know that's not right.
Thank you.
Give us your name, who you're with, and you'll have 3 minutes, ma'am.
My name is Ashley Warbington, and I'm just here representing myself. I'm here today to strongly oppose HB 10. This bill is a reckless and costly overreach that places an extreme burden on Tennessee's law enforcement agencies and taxpayers. At its core, this bill is not about public safety. It is a political stunt designed to overwhelm sanctuary cities and score points in a national debate at the expense of Tennessee communities. It also exposes Tennessee to serious legal and financial risks. Federal courts have repeatedly ruled that local governments violate constitutional rights when they detain individuals past their legal release date due to ICE detainers. Just this year, Suffolk County, New York, faced a $60 million lawsuit because its sheriff's office unlawfully held individuals for ICE. And in 2024, New York City agreed to pay up to $92.5 million to settle a lawsuit over thousands of people who were detained past their scheduled release dates. HB 10 creates that same risk here in Tennessee. This bill requires local law enforcement to hold individuals in custody until they can be transported, potentially past the legal 48-hour maximum hold time. What happens when there aren't two officers available for a trip? Does the individual remain jailed indefinitely, increasing Tennessee's liability? This bill is silent on those details, but courts will not be. The financial burden of this bill is equally reckless. According to the fiscal note, HB 10 would impose over $3.5 million in annual costs on local governments just for transportation. The law requires officers to drive individuals up to 700 miles away, requiring lodging, meals, and overtime pay for at least two officers per trip. HB 10 also mandates that the Department of Revenue track and report transportation costs, seek reimbursement from the federal government, or withhold federal motor fuel taxes if reimbursement is not received. However, the DOR does not have the legal authority to withhold these funds, making this provision legally dubious. A new database system estimated to cost at least $300,000 would be required to track these expenses, with Tennessee taxpayers bearing the financial burden. But this bill isn't just expensive, it's cruel. HB 10 forces individuals to uproot their lives and be sent to a city where they likely know no one. It tells people they can no longer live in the homes they own. They must abandon their jobs, their communities, and in many cases, their children. Tennessee is home to over 70,000 mixed status families like mine. My husband is undocumented and our son is a U.S. citizen. We, like so many others, live with the constant fear that a single traffic stop could tear us apart. Imagine explaining to an 8-year-old why his father might never come home. Imagine telling a child that their parent is being sent away, not just out of their home, but to a random location without resources, without support, and without dignity. If you can't envision this reality, then you're choosing to ignore the suffering this bill will inflict. This legislation is not about justice or public safety. It is about wielding cruelty as a policy tool. I urge you to reject this bill and choose humanity over political theater. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today, taking time. Does any of the members have any questions for the sponsor or for the speaker? Seeing none, thank you all again, all of you, for being with us today, and I apologize about the names. Without objection, we'll go back into session. Representative Warner, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. What she just explained to you was the bill before it was amended. She was totally off the bill. As Department of Safety and Homeland Security explained a while ago, we're already reporting. We already have a reporting system that the sheriffs have to report to the Conference of Attorney Generals that we passed back last year that went in effect in July. So there's no database. It really has to be built unless the state needs to build one, because they haven't been keeping up with this. That we don't have no clue of how many people that we've removed out of this state that were here illegally, or if we've removed the first one, we don't know. That's what it boils down to.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Is there any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, I think we're ready to vote on House Bill 10. Moving on to, let me see, state and local government full. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board or no on the board. Mr. Clerk, will you please open the board for voting? Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, you will close the board and announce the vote. You're recognized.
Mr. Chairman, you have 0 ayes, 3 noes, and 1 present not voting.
Bill fails. That takes care of item number 13. If the committee will allow me to, and the guests that we have with us today, we're going to jump around and get some members so they can get back to their committees. I did see the whip come in. Is he still here? Whip Garrett. Okay, we'll go to item number 1. Mr. Vaughn. Is he here? Okay. I will go ahead, and since our chairman has come back, I will turn the gavel over to Chairman Eldridge.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Item number 1, I see you do have an amendment that rewrites the bill. Would you like to go ahead and add that on?
Yes, sir, please. That does rewrite the bill. It's drafting code 5794.
Do we have a motion? Do you have a second? We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor of adding House Amendment 5794 onto House Bill 1066, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. You are on your bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. A little bit lighter subject matter here in front of you. It has to do with vending machine quality control and on the state grounds. This bill would increase more accountability measures to ensure better customer service that we're seeking inside these buildings. It's going to create and implement a program that provides vocational rehabilitation customers or individuals with disabilities the opportunity to operate vending facilities on public properties. And these individuals would have the right of second refusal for properties and facilities and projects for which the blind vendors that currently operate our vending system have priority under state and federal law. This provides more occupational opportunities for those vocational rehabilitation customers. In other words, they're going to get a better opportunity to participate in programs like our existing blind vendors do. And then what this should do is provide us folks that want to be in our building, want to be providing good customer service, and also providing opportunities for more of those with disabilities. And that's what this amendment bill does.
Thank you, Chairman Vaughn. Any questions for Chairman Vaughn? All right. Representative Powers.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Chair. I lost $2 in a vending machine the other day, and I was wondering, will this bill help me file a formal complaint and get my money back for the bottle of water that I didn't get?
Chairman Vaughn.
I'm trying not to pick up a fiscal note on this bill, sir, so you're on your own.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there any other serious questions for Chairman Vaughn? Chairman Crawford.
I don't know if mine's serious, but I was just going to congratulate the sponsor on this bill and tell him he looks fit and trim. I think you're back to your old fighting weight. You look good, man.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a rough week last week. Glad to be here.
All right. Anyone else? Questions been called on the bill. We're all ready to vote. If this time, Mr. Clerk, if you would open the voting board, please. Has everyone voted? Is everyone voted? All right. All right. Does anyone wish to change their vote? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, if you would announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes and 0 noes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Chairman, I think you are headed out to state and local.
Look forward to that trip. Thank you.
Number 2 on our calendar is 577 by Chairman Doggett. We have a motion. We have a second. And Chairman, you have an amendment as well. Is that correct?
Good morning. And yes, sir, I do. Thank you.
And this amendment does rewrite the bill.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
If we could just get a motion on the amendment to add it to the bill. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second? All right. We have motion and second. All in favor of adding House Amendment 4150 to House Bill 577, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. You're on your bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This bill does 2 important things that is related to the state reimbursement of counties for housing inmates in the county jails. Currently, Tennessee reimburses the counties at about $41 per day, unless the jail is a Tier 1 or Tier 2 certified county. So for most counties, the daily rate doesn't even cover the full cost of the county. The estimated cost on this fiscal note is around $50 and some change, but really, in reality, it's probably closer to the low 60s, over $60 per day what costs. Currently, a county is not eligible for reimbursement until the state inmate is sentenced. And this bill will require the state to pay the counties from the date of conviction. The ideal scenario is that a county would receive reimbursement for every day that an offender receives credit on their state sentence, but the cost to the state would be extremely high. So the bill does not go that far, but it does make reimbursements more equitable by at least starting the reimbursement date from the date the offender is convicted. The second thing this bill will address is compensating counties for state felons who have been charged with a violation of probation that led to incarceration in the county jail. This is not a new proposal. Back in 2007, there was a Tasser study that recommended the state reimburse counties for violations of probation. This bill will build on what we did a few years ago with parole violations. It makes the days that a state inmate is incarcerated for a violation of probation reimbursable, just like parole violations. Let's see here. So yeah, that's I'll just stop right there. But what it is we're raising that reimbursement rate or raising that opportunity for the reimbursement from the date of sentence to the date of conviction, and including those parole or probation violations in there as well.
Okay, thank you. Members, you've heard an explanation. Are there any questions for Chairman Doggett? Questions been called on the bill. We're ready to vote. Mr. Clerk, if you would please open the voting board. Has everyone voted? Anyone wishing to change their vote? Seeing none. Mr. Clerk, if you would announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes and 0 noes.
Right, Chairman Doggett, you're headed out to state and local.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Okay, next up is House Bill 447 by Chairman Halsey.
Oh, that's me.
We have a motion. We have a second.
I'm sorry, Chairman, I fell asleep.
All right. All right, Chairman. I see you also have an amendment as well, sir.
Two of them.
Actually, two. Which one are you going to go with?
Let's go with both of them.
Both of them, okay.
3756 and 5128.
Okay. Okay. Motion. We have a motion and a second on House Amendment number 1. All in favor of adding House Amendment 13756 to House Bill 447, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The amendment goes on the bill. The next amendment, you want to go ahead and get it on there before you discuss it?
Please, sir. It's
All right.
5128.
Do we have a motion on Amendment 2? Second. We have a motion and a second on Amendment 2. All in favor of adding House Amendment 5128 to House Bill 447, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Sir, your bill is amended.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, committee. As you know, we have 14 penitentiaries in the state of Tennessee. 4 of them are private owned. 10 of them the state runs. Within each one of those 10 penitentiaries, there are assigned inside the institution an investigator, a sergeant, and a corporal that investigate crime on both inmates and crime against staff or crime that staff commits. There is no other agency in that kind of a sensitive position that does it that way. I was in the police department for 36 years in Kingsport, worked with Chairman Crawford up there, and he'll verify that any police agency, when they may very well may have a select detective to investigate policy and procedure or violations of general orders, but they never investigate criminal activity by another police officer. You always call in an outside agency to do that. In that case, most of the time it's TBI, but you do the same thing if an officer's involved in a traffic accident while he's on duty. Your agency doesn't work that, so there's no hint of biasness or incorrect reporting or favors or anything else like that. You call the THP to come work direct. But in this institution, in penitentiaries, it's not done that way. The investigators that investigate crime in the penitentiary are within the chain of command of TDOC, which means they work for TDOC and investigate crime even against staff in that environment. What this bill does, it doesn't remove these investigators from physically working in the penitentiary. What it does do is take them out from under the umbrella of the Department of Corrections, and it makes them answer to a director of investigations alongside the executive director of the newly created board 2 years ago that we created that looks at oversight of the penitentiary when it comes to I just lost a word in my head. Sentencing, corrections and sentencing credits that you get for behavior. So that's what it does. That's why the physical note is in error, and I've got to go fix that because these people are not leaving. They're not somebody TDOC has to replace. These people will still be working there. They just will not answer to TDOC anymore. They'll be moved in that regard to another agency. So this is going to fail in the Senate. So I am asking you to roll this to the first calendar of next year.
Members, without objection, we'll roll to the first calendar of next year.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next up is item number 6 has also been taken off notice. And that brings us to item number 7, House Bill 454 by Chairman Hurt. I thought I saw him just a minute ago. Pardon? Okay. We'll roll that one to the hill. Next item up is House Bill 833 by Chairman Keesling. We have a motion and a second. And Chairman Keesling,
Yeah, we have a,
you have an amendment that
Yes, sir, we
rewrites
do.
the bill? We'll
yeah,
go ahead.
tracking code, Mr. Chairman, 4263, sir. Is that correct?
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. We're going to vote to add that
And it
amendment
does
on.
make the bill, member.
Thank you, sir. We're going to add 4263 to House Bill 833. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Chairman, you're recognized on your bill as amended.
Thank you, Chairman. Appreciate that. House Bill 833 is relative to to our illegal aliens here in our state. This was actually brought to me by Chairman Parrott, mine and Chairman Parrott's Senator Yeager. And the intent here earlier this year, our General Assembly passed Senate Bill 6002, creating the Centralized Immigration Enforcement Division. Now, the intent of the bill is to keep our General Assembly up to date with a report due on 1 of July 2026 that will assess the population of our illegal aliens residing in Tennessee and note any associated criminal enterprises. The report will also include a threat analysis for Tennessee regarding illegal immigration. Now, of course, nothing in the report can compromise ongoing investigations, criminal prosecutions, or other information that is confidential under state or federal law. Finally, the report will also be shared with law enforcement agencies to ensure an integrated approach to address issues with our illegal aliens. And I might add that the Department of Safety, or TBI, police chiefs and sheriffs helped with drafting this language and are comfortable with it, with the language. Again, to reiterate, this was brought to me along with the notes from our senator's office. Now, he also said, members, or stated to our office that this could be the final calendar, Mr. Chairman, and he said that there was he does have another amendment that will be forthcoming. So that said, I'll entertain any questions that may come forward at this point.
Thank you, Chairman. Members, you've heard the explanation. Is there any questions for Chairman Keesling? Seeing none, I guess we're ready to vote.
Good for
Mr.
me.
Clerk, if you would, open the voting board. Has everyone voted? Anyone wishing to change their vote? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes and 0 noes.
Chairman, looks like you're moving out to full committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members, green is beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, members, we're going to reconsider and move back to Chairman Hurt. That bill is, let's see, number 7. That is House Bill 454. Do we have a motion? We have a motion and a second. I better not get ahead of myself. We also have an amendment that does rewrite the bill. Would you give us that drafting code, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have 004747.
All right. Members, do we have a motion on the amendment? Motion and a second. We're going to add amendment 4447 or 4747 to House Bill 454. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? You're on your bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Committee, and I appreciate you bringing me back up. I apologize for stepping out briefly. House Bill 454 creates, as amended, creates a legislative office similar to the ones with which you may be familiar, fiscal review, legal services, et cetera, to serve as our eyes and ears within the correctional system. We have a correctional officer staffing crisis in the state. In order to work efficiently, our system needs to be one where officers want to work and where they can be safe while performing their duty to keep future Tennesseans safe. When prisons are understaffed, programming for inmates is harder to implement. Conditions are more dangerous, and we see the evidence of that vicious cycle tearing our communities apart. This legislation is for all Tennesseans, but most especially our frontline correctional workers who risk their lives every day, putting themselves in harm's way, never knowing if drugs or gang violence are going to cause this day to be their last. I want them to know that the General Assembly stands with them to not only keep them safe, but all Tennesseans safe. Safer prisons truly make safer communities. This concept of the Ombudsman Office, work on pronouncing that better as we work through here. This concept is nothing new in Tennessee or across the country for that matter. Our state currently has these offices in other areas of government, such as long-term care, workers' comp, and children's services. In fact, at a population health subcommittee hearing earlier this year, Commissioner Turner of the Department of Disability and Aging raved about how helpful the long-term care ombudsman is to the department's success. At the national level, 19 states and the District of Columbia have similar offices. These offices were so successful in the several states that the federal government stole the idea and Congress created a federal office to work with the Bureau of Prisons. At this point, Mr. Chair, I could go further and speak about the office created, but I'll be glad to take questions.
Thank you. Members, we've heard the presentation. Is there? All right, Chairman Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I support the bill. I guess my only question would be how two people are going to be able to do the whole, statewide program like this. I mean, it's a great program, and I've seen it work in other places like that too. But do you think the two positions that are in the bill, do you think that'll be enough to handle the whole state?
Chairman Hurt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the question. That's a great question, but we just wanted to start somewhere. We wanted to get started, get this office moving forward, show that it will be beneficial, and then hopefully we can have further conversations and expand as needed when we see great results. So I do think initially it will be overwhelming, but I think it's a good place to start, and then we can have future conversations.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, we'll vote. Mr. Clerk, if you would, please open the voting board. So every member voted. Anyone wishing to change their vote? Seeing none. Mr. Clerk, if you would, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 ayes and 0 noes.
All right. Chairman Hurt, you're moving out to full state and local.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Committee.
Thank you. And next up, number 9. Okay. Chair Lady Littleton, House Bill 1358. We have a motion and a second. And Chair Lady, I believe you do have an amendment. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's 5343.
5343, and it does rewrite the bill.
It does.
All right. Members, do I have a motion? We have a motion and a second on the amendment. We're to add it to House Bill 450, let's see, no, hang on. 1358, I'm sorry. Made a note on the wrong page. All in favor of adding the amendment, please say aye. Any opposed? You're on your bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to say I'm glad to be back in this committee, even if it is on this side instead of over there. So, and I do want to say that I just want to present this bill and what it's about. And then I do want to take it off notice so that we can work on it during the summer. If you'll see, it has a mighty fine fiscal note on it. So we're going to work on that as well. So what this is for, the proposed legislation does not specify the capacity of a new facility for the purpose of the analysis. It is assumed that the size of the new facility will be directly related. And this just talks about what the facility would be, but what the facility is for juveniles that are pre-adjudication allegations of delinquency or unruliness. Sometimes they are put into homes with a dependent and neglect, and and then the unruly juveniles that we don't feel like they belong together. So this would be a new facility in West Tennessee for the juveniles awaiting adjudication of allegations of delinquency or unruliness. So we see that it's growing in West Tennessee. And so we have the numbers of how it's grown and stuff, but we just want to study this over the summer. So we just want to take it off notice, if that's okay.
Very well. Yes, ma'am. We will be taking House Bill 1358 off notice. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Chair Lady, you have the next one, House Bill 744. We have a motion and a second, and I also see you do have an amendment with it as well.
You think we could hide that so it would go on the consent calendar? I'm just kidding. It is amendment 4698.
4698, and it does rewrite the bill as well.
Mhm.
Okay, members, do we have a motion and a second? We'll be voting to add House Amendment 4698 to House Bill 744. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. You're on your bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 744, as amended, seeks to prevent discrimination based on religion for organizations or entities receiving state financial aid. This legislation amends TCA 4-21-806, and it is amended by adding a new subsection that states that organizations receiving state financial assistance cannot discriminate based on religion.
Okay, members, you've heard the explanation. Is there any questions? Representative Martin.
Thank you.
Thank
Chairman.
you.
So Chairman Littleton, I have a question. When I read the bill and then I read the amendment, I'm getting conflicted. So let me just ask my question this way. If a young mother had a child that she was going to put up for adoption, and she took it to an adoption agency that was faith-based, and she said, look, I can't carry this child. I can't have this child. I can't raise this child. I want to give it to an adoption agency that's faith-based, that's similar to my faith. And I want to make sure that this child is raised in a home that is of a similar faith. Would this bill protect that agency and that family's right to be able to make that happen? Or would they have to forego any types of state funding for that adoption agency that kind of helps work that along?
Chair Lady Littleton.
Can we ask legal that question, please?
We'll go out of session to hear from legal.
Try not to speculate too much, but I don't think that would rise to the level of discrimination. I think that'd be maybe a decision between the mother and the organization as to what the needs of the mother are and what would be most suitable for her.
Question.
Yes.
So if someone sued that agency and said, well, you're sending all the little, whatever faith, it doesn't matter, to these type of people, and you are discriminating against other people trying to adopt a baby out of that agency. Is what you're telling me is that you feel like that agency is going to have strong legal footing and is not going to be violating the law of discriminating by saying we are only putting these children in of similar like faith, that they're not discriminating against people who perhaps would come to them and say, well, I would like to adopt one of those babies.
I don't want to speculate as to how a court would rule on it. I would just say that for the purposes of it being litigated, I think the court would have to make a determination that there was an intent to discriminate against a person based on religion.
Representative Martin.
Okay, then my question, if I can continue with legal, how does this particular bill enhance the protections that we already have with religious freedom? I mean, we already have this freedom. What is this doing to make things better for Tennesseans by having this law?
Thank you, Matt Money from Legal. I don't know that that's a legal question. I might defer to the sponsor as to what her intent is when it comes to legislation.
I would agree with you 100%, and I apologize for asking you that.
That's okay.
All right. Any further questions for legal? We'll go back into session, and Chair Lady, do you want to, or Representative Martin, do you wish to ask that question of?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill was it was brought to me by Senator Briggs because a Jewish couple in Knoxville were denied services by a foster care agency because of their religion. So this is to protect religion. And it's to protect the basis of race, color, ethnicity, or national origin who would otherwise be eligible for a program or activity.
Representative Martin.
So what I'm hearing you say, Chairman Littleton, is that someone had given a child in an adoption agency that perhaps was Christian or Islam. I don't know what it was. Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But Senator Briggs brought this to you because a Jewish couple wanted to, and they felt like they were discriminated against because this faith-based agency said, we want this child to go to a like similar faith. Am I tracking with you here?
Chair Lady Littleton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, it says it was by a foster care agency.
Okay.
Representative Martin.
And for that reason, I don't think I can support your bill because I think that people ought to be able to have the religious preferences. And if you don't like my religion, that's okay, have your own. But let me have mine, and I'll let you have yours. And I don't want anyone to tell me that if I were to give a child to a Christian or an Islamic or a Jewish adoption, that somehow somebody else gets to come in and say that my religion is being discriminatory. No, that's my faith. And I get to have my faith, just like you get to have yours in this country. And so I hear what you're trying, I hear it, but I'm afraid of the unintended consequences in that. But I thank you so much for bringing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Lady, is there any follow-up or? Oh, okay. Chairman Powers.
Yeah, just one quick question. You mentioned the example that you're going back on and talking about. Wouldn't that example already be covered under federal discrimination laws? That's what I guess I was thinking about, because I know there's already laws out there to protect that freedom of religion.
Chair Lady Littleton.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I think
Chair
I think
Lady.
this is just to reemphasize what happened and to, I guess, kind of codify what's already there.
Okay, good. Any further questions? Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Representative, for my understanding, this is basically an anti-discrimination bill.
Chair Lady.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, we ready to vote? Mr. Clerk, if you would, open the voting board. Everyone voted. Anyone wishing to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, if you would, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 ayes, 1 no, and 1 present not voting.
Chair Lady, your bill moves on to full state and local.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. I miss y'all.
Thank you. Next up is item number 11, House Bill 1278 by Representative Hill. We have a motion, we have a second, and you do.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
right, you do
Chairman.
have an amendment as well, is that correct?
Yes, sir. It's 005314.
And it does rewrite the bill.
That's correct.
Members, we'd like to go ahead and get this on. We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor of adding House Amendment 5314, please say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Representative, you're on your bill as amended.
Thank you, Chairman. House Bill 1278 seeks to create two grant funds in response to Hurricane Helene that took place in Upper East Tennessee late last year. This body has appropriated quite a bit of money to meet the needs and to meet the concerns that took place. However, what we found is that we took a tremendous first step, and this bill seeks to create one grant fund, which is the GAP fund for counties that were affected, and then another grant fund that will create individual assistance, which is something that we have yet to see in a federally declared disaster area in Tennessee. And it's difficult on the individual assistance. And we're working with TEMA really every week to try to get to what is appropriate and with the administration as a whole. And so that's a broad view. The intent is to help Upper East Tennessee work its way through Helene, but for these grant programs to be set in place so that when this happens again, these grant programs can be funded to help whatever area of the state is affected. But we're going to start with the area in Upper East. And so with that, pending any questions, I seek passage, Mr. Chairman.
Members, we've heard the explanation. Do we have any questions for Representative Hill? Question has been called on the bill. We'll be voting. Mr. Clerk, if you would, open the voting board. Has everyone voted? Anyone wishing to change their vote? If not, Mr. Clerk, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes and 0 noes.
Thank you, Chairman.
Representative, you're moving out to full.
See you next week.
Thank you. Next up is item number 12, House Bill 910 by Chairman Garrett. Motion and a second, and I believe you do have an amendment as well.
I do, Mr. Chairman. That has code ending in 2841.
All right, members, if you'd like to add it on, we'll get a motion on the amendment. We have a motion and a second to add amendment 2841 to House Bill 910. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. And you are on your bill as amended as long as it's not 60 pages. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 910 as amended is a lengthy bill, but there are some reasons behind that, and I'll explain those to the best of my ability. What the bill essentially does is it moves the Human Rights Commission, the enforcement provisions of the Human Rights Commission under the Attorney General. And then it also adds an additional method of discrimination that's not currently covered under the current statutes, which is education discrimination. So it adds that claim if someone is discriminated against in the education space. So the reason why the bill is lengthy, there's several parts to it. This bill would be effective should it pass this General Assembly upon execution by the governor. And then the Human Rights Commission would wind down this fiscal year, which would be June 30th. So the statutes that govern the Human Rights Commission remain in the piece of legislation, therefore extending its length. And it also details when the Human Rights Commission will wind down. And then the enforcement rights of the Attorney General will start July 1 by creating what is called the Division of Civil Rights Enforcement. They will be charged with the ability to investigate, adjudicate discrimination as it relates to the Human Rights Commission, so we can avoid, streamline, and make this process a whole lot better, a whole lot quicker to a resolution under the AG's office. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll be happy to take questions. Well, I expect there'll be some to the very voluminous piece of legislation before you.
Thank you. All right, we do have questions. Representative Chisholm, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the sponsor, what's the genesis of this piece of legislation?
Chairman.
Thank you,
You're
Mr. Chairman.
recognized.
The genesis is to streamline the process of these discrimination claims. And hopefully, I've had several clients that have gone I practice law. I've had several clients that have gone through the process that have been accused of several different things. And there seems like a problem that they never get a resolution or they don't know what's going on. In fact, people come down that wasn't the claimant. It just seems like a process that can be handled a little bit better, a little bit more efficient, a little bit more streamlined. And it's my position, the reason why I'm going to do this is I don't believe that discrimination should exist. I don't want to see discrimination claims continuing to increase year after year. Something needs to be done. Something needs to say to these folks that want to discriminate against you, discriminate against me, discriminate another Tennessean, that we're going to put the full faith and power of the state of Tennessee behind this to make sure you don't do it anymore. And I don't know any better place than to put it under our Attorney General's office to make sure if they get a letter, if they get a summons, if they get a notice that has our Attorney General on it, someone's going to pay attention to that. And someone I think is going to be a little bit more deterred to discriminate in this state if we enforce this through the Attorney General instead of where we are now. And so that's the genesis of this piece of legislation is I believe that hopefully they'll be adjudicated quicker. We'll get to a resolution, whatever that may be. And it'll be a deterrent to say you discriminate here in the state of Tennessee. The Office of the Attorney General is handling this claim and they're coming after you.
Representative Chisholm.
So would the Attorney General, will they handle all of the discrimination claims? And what would be the standard in which?
Chairman Garrett.
Thank you for the question. I'm not sure what you mean by the standard but the claims that were handled formally by the Human Rights Commission, should this piece of legislation become law, will now be handled by the Division of Civil Rights Enforcement. A director will be in place. They'll still have the same staff. We're just literally shifting what is now known as the Human Rights Commission under the Division of Civil Rights Enforcement under the AG's office. So all the same process will stay in place substantively.
Okay.
Some minor changes, but substantively, to get your claim heard, those are going to remain the same.
Representative Chisholm.
So currently, I think it's like a 1,000 open claims right now. Would the wind down period, would they get to all of those claims, or what would happen to those claims?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. They would have to either adjudicate them. If they are unable, the Human Rights Commission are unable to adjudicate them by June 30th, then those folks can refile their claim without prejudice whatsoever and have their claim heard just like it was going through the process. And if there's any hearings going on, those can remain under the statute. That's why the statute's gotten a little long, because we've covered those bases for what's continuing or pending. So those particular claims don't go away. They're still valid claims. And if the Human Rights Commission can't finish those up and adjudicate those claims, then those claimants are able to refile their discrimination claim with the Division of Civil Rights Enforcement with the AG.
Okay, one more. So
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. So the commission is tasked with notifying the Tennessee Real Estate Commission if a real estate broker or salesperson is found to have violated. So the amendment states that a real estate broker or salesperson will have to self-report. So what mechanism will we have for them to actually self-report, and how we keep up with the actually self-reporting?
Chairman Garrett.
That'll be made available online to be able to self-report any discrimination as it relates to housing or anything else that might come up in any space as it relates to any reporting mechanism through the AGs. We're actually making the Department of Human Services that sort of receiving unit for all Title VI issues for reporting purposes back up to the feds.
Are you good? Representative Chisholm? Okay. Any other questions for the sponsor? Pardon? Oh, I'm sorry. No,
Oh, that's okay.
Representative Miller.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, in this 64-page amendment, you did mention that the current employees and staff currently of the commission will be transferred to the Attorney General's office. Will they be transferred with the same responsibilities, or will their responsibilities change under the Attorney General?
I'm sorry, Chairman Garrett.
Thank you,
Sorry.
Mr. Chairman. The positions will transfer over as they are now. Now, that'll be up to the director, whomever that may be, to decide how best to utilize those positions. The legislation doesn't address what the 33 positions will do. That's not appropriate for the statute to give the AG the authority to act in this particular capacity. So there's no way that I could guarantee that employee 1 and employee 5 are going to be doing the exact same thing that they're doing currently that they would be doing if and when this legislation passes and are under the AG's office. This legislation doesn't address that. That would presumably be up to the director of the Division of Civil Rights Enforcement.
Representative
Thank you,
Miller.
Mr. Chairman. Will the Attorney General report to the General Assembly on a semi-annual basis, annual basis, the results of this change? And will it be a comprehensive report back to us?
Chairman Garrett.
The current legislation as drafted doesn't have this specific division that I believe reports back. There is some rules that will have to go through GovOps, and that can be promulgated to see if that's going to be a particular position of what the committee that I don't serve on GovOps, but if you serve on GovOps, they can do that. But right now, this amendment doesn't provide specifically for any reports to the General Assembly of the Division of the Civil Rights Enforcement. Now, they will have that as part of any budget hearings. Anything that they use Tennessee's dollars, Tennessee citizens' dollars as a result of this, and certainly can be asked at that time what this particular division is doing, what they're doing regarding the claims, et cetera.
Couple more. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So how long has our current commission been in place in this state?
Chairman Garrett.
I'm going to be honest, if I had to guess at that, so I don't know how long the Human Rights Commission has been operative.
Yeah, quite a while.
No doubt.
So the reason we have this legislation today is because you and whomever else decided that it's not doing its job efficiently enough. I'm trying to understand why we're making this major change.
Chairman Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think there's always ways to look at particular things that we can do better. I don't want to say that the Human Rights is not doing their job appropriately, efficiently, et cetera, right? I just believe that when we need the most powerful statement to folks to think that they can discriminate you against your housing or discriminate against you in your employment. We have to have a response that I think is the strongest response we can possibly have. And what division of state shows the seriousness of it's not really a crime, but of a claim like discrimination, then our Attorney General is in place to respond and prosecute that claim. That's my motivation behind this piece of legislation.
Representative Miller.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Okay, so you think this will basically be a deterrent because now it's under the umbrella of the Attorney General, and anyone who potentially is talking about discrimination will look and see this as a deterrent. And that's why we have this legislation.
Chairman Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's certainly one of the reasons, Representative Miller. It may not be the only one. That's my hope. That's my desire. That's my intent. I can't obviously predict what's going to happen tomorrow or a year from now or when this thing's up and going, but that is my intent, that if someone decides to go this path, they're getting the full faith and strength of the state of Tennessee through our Attorney General's office to seek them out, to make sure, one, they can compensate a person that's been affected by this, that's actually been discriminated against. There's a private right of action they can sue. There's fines that they can implement. There is more what we can do here under this piece of legislation. If someone decides that they're right by discriminating against someone that's protected, That shouldn't happen. So I hope that in that regard, for the strength that our Attorney General has, that I believe he has in his office, and he's dedicated to this. He has a history of civil rights movements in his law practice prior to becoming Attorney General. I hope that someone that decides to discriminate against somebody that can say the state of Tennessee's not messing around because their AG is coming after us. So sure, I hope it is, but I can't guarantee that's going to happen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Members, are there any other questions? See it done. We got a question called on the bill. Mr. Clerk, if you would, open the voting board. All right. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, if you would, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 ayes and 2 noes.
Chairman Garrett, you're moving out to full state and local.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Thank you. Members, we're running up on the clock here. Our time is out in this room. If we will continue working on our final calendar our next meeting next week. And I appreciate everyone's patience. I know y'all been sitting there for a while to present, so but we're up against a hard break. Members, I entertain a motion to adjourn. We stand adjourned.